Today I will cover a game between Adhiban and Wesley So. This is a game from Goldmoney Asian Rapid 2021 day 2, and let's see the top 16 players of this tournament. And this is the top 16 players including Magnus Carlsen, Ding Liren, Levan Aranian, Anish Giri, Wesley So, Alireza Firoza, Daniel Dubov, and this is a game between Wesley So and Adhiban. Let's check out this game. So Adhiban with the white pieces opened with knight to f3, knight to f6 by Wesley, c4 now, and now e6. We have e3 by Adhiban and now d5. Striking in the center, we have b3 now, and now bishop to e7. In this position, instead of bishop to e7, if you capture this pawn, then white will capture with the bishop. Then he can develop his bishop to b2, and the game continues, and there is no problem with this position. But in the game, Wesley played bishop to e7. Now we have bishop to b2 by Adhiban, castles, and now knight to c3, just developing the minor pieces. We have c5 now, and now c captures on d5. Knight captures on d5, and now queen to c2. We have knight to c6 by Wesley, and in future knight to b4 may be annoying for white because this also comes with the attack on the queen. So we have a3 by Adhiban and now b6. So Wesley is preparing bishop to b7. Now we have h4, f5 by Wesley, and now d4. Bishop to b7, and now knight captures on d5. E captures on d5, and now d captures on c5. B captures on c5, and now rook to d1. We have king to h8, and now bishop to e2. Now we have queen to d6, just developing the queen, also connecting rooks. We have castles by white, and now rook a to d8. We have rook to d2 by Adhiban, just preparing rook to d1 to double up on the d file. Now we have h6 by Wesley, and now rook f to d1. We have queen to e6 in this position. Queen to e6 is the strongest move here because white will definitely play bishop to c4, then he can capture this pawn with the rook. So this is the idea. So we have queen to e6 by Wesley, and now bishop to b5. And Wesley played immediately a6, and now we have bishop to a4, and now queen to g6 by Wesley. We have b4 now, and now Wesley played in this position. Wesley played d4. Instead of d4, you can also consider this capture here. But if you capture this, then white can play h5, and after in this position you have to move to either e6 or d6. And if you play d6, then white will simply capture this pawn. After you play queen to e6, then he can trade rooks. Now knight captures, and the game continues, and white is of course better here because white will simply can play b3, bishop to b3, and this bishop pair will be very strong here. So, or in this position, instead of queen to d6, if you play queen to e6, then bishop captures on c6 is possible, and after queen captures, now white can play knight to e5, just attacking the queen. And after you play queen to e6, for the moment this knight is protected by the bishop. Then knight to g6 check is very strong here. This will capture the rook. Knight captures, and the game continues, and white is up the exchange, and this is very active position for white. So in the game, after this move b4 by Adhiban, Wesley played d4. Now we have h5 by Adhiban, and now queen to g4. In this position, Adhiban played knight to h2, and here you have to be very careful. If you capture this pawn, e captures on d4, then this position is completely lost for white because black can capture this pawn with the knight, and after you capture with the rook, Then c captures on d4, rook to d3, and now bishop to e4. Again just pinning the rook, and white will simply capture this rook. So this position is very good for black, and you can never capture this pawn because white will threatening checkmate here. So this knight can't move for the moment. So that is why this e captures on d4 is not a good move here. So Adhiban played knight to h2, just attacking the queen. Now we have queen captures on h5 by Wesley, and now e captures on d4. Knight captures, bishop captures, c captures on d4, rook captures, and rook captures on d4. Now we have queen to g5, so black is threatening checkmate here. Now we have bishop to c6, just preventing that, and now we have queen to f6. We have rook to c4 now, and you can see after this move, if you capture this bishop, then white will simply capture this rook. So this is not possible. We have rook to c4 by Adhiban, and now rook to a1 with check by Wesley. Knight to f1, and now bishop captures on c6. Rook captures, and Wesley grabs the pawn. We have queen to c4, but this is not a problem. This pawn is attacked twice. So we have queen captures on b4, queen captures on a6 by Adhiban, and now king to h7. For the moment, in this position, you can see Wesley is just up a pawn. We have rook to c8, rook captures, queen captures, and now queen to b1 because white is threatening to capture this pawn. So queen to b1 for the moment, pinning the knight, also defending the pawn. We have g3 now, and now bishop to f6 by Wesley, queen to c6, and now bishop to d4. We have king to g2, and now queen to a2, and you can see white is threatening to capture this pawn. So we have queen to f3, defending the pawn, also threatening to capture this pawn with check. We have queen to e6, just defending the pawn. In this position, Adhiban played a knight to h2, and now we have king to g6. We have queen to d3 now, pinning the pawn. So knight to g3 may be a idea in future. So we have bishop to f6 by Wesley, and now g4. For the moment, this pawn is pinned, so you can't capture here. We have queen to e4 check. Now we have queen to f3, and now queen captures on f3 with check. So in this position, Wesley trades queen. We have king captures on f3, and now bishop to e5. And this is the critical moment of the game. Here in this position, you can pause the video and find the best move for white. If you play the correct move, this game will be a draw, but if you play the wrong move, then this is all over for white. So if you found the knight to f1, then this is the correct move, and this is the best move recommended by the engine in this position. But in the game, Adhiban played g captures on f5 with check, and this simply loses the game for him. We have king captures on f5, knight to g4 is also a mistake in this position after this blunder, because this capture is actually a terrible blunder by Adhiban. After this blunder, we have king captures, and now we have knight to g4. But knight to g4 is also a mistake. You have to play knight to f1. This is the correct move. And just in this position, Adhiban just played bishop to f4, and in this position, Wesley played bishop to f4, and in this position, Adhiban just resigned the game. He resigned because there is nothing for black to do. You can see this bishop is covering the square, and your knight is attacked, and you have to move. If you play e2 or g2, then you will simply lose your knight. So this is not possible. And if you play knight to e3 with check, then black can simply capture this knight. After king captures, then black can play king to g4, and after f4, just h5. And if you try king to e4, then just h4, h4, h3, h2, h1, and this will be a game over for white, and so you have to play f5, then king captures, queen to f3, and the game continues, and this position is completely lost for white, and this is just checkmate. So after this bishop to f4 move, Adhiban just resigned the game, and there, let me show you again the critical position of the game. In this position the correct move is knight to f1, because if you, in this position, if you play knight to f1, then white can capture this pawn. After king captures, h5 with check, king to f3, and now bishop to b8, and after knight to d2, then king to f5, king to g2, bishop to f4, knight to f3, king to e4, knight to h4, and now d6, now we have knight to f3, and now king to f5, knight to d2, bishop to f4, knight to f3, g5 now, and this position is actually draw position. If you push this, then white can simply capture this pawn, and later on knight to g1 is possible. Then you can give up this knight for this pawn, and this game will end in a draw. So that was the position. After this bishop to e5 move, you should play knight to f1. This is the correct move, but in the game Adhiban played g captures on f5, and this is just a terrible blunder, and this move simply loses the game. And after this bishop to f4 move by Wesley, Adhiban just resigned the game. So that was the game. I hope you enjoyed that one. I will also cover games from the day 3, and that was the game from day 2. So that was the game. I hope you enjoyed that one. So stay tuned for more updates, and thank you for watching.